By the 8th century, Islamic civilization faced a challenge that no society before it had fully solved. Its lands stretched from the Atlantic coast of North Africa to the borders of India. Its people spoke dozens of languages. Its trade routes crossed deserts, seas, and mountain ranges. This was no longer a world of local markets and personal relationships alone. The question was not how individuals should behave ethically in trade. That foundation already existed. The real question was far more complex. How do you govern an economy that spans continents without abandoning justice, accountability, and law? The Abbasid period was not a break from Islamic history. It was the moment when Islamic economic principles were transformed into institutions capable of managing an empire. Earlier Islamic societies had already established clear economic principles: lawful trade, prohibition of exploitation, written proof, witnesses, and accountability. But the Abbasids inherited a world that demanded scale. Markets were no longer local. Trade was no longer seasonal. Economic activity connected regions that might never see each other. The Abbasid response was not to dilute Islamic principles. It was to organize them. Ethics moved beyond personal conduct and entered administration, law, and policy. This transformation would define one of the most sophisticated economic systems of the medieval world. The founding of Baghdad was not symbolic. It was strategic. Placed near major rivers and trade routes, Baghdad was designed as an administrative heart rather than a ceremonial capital. From here, officials coordinated taxation, trade regulation, public spending, and legal oversight across vast territories. The city became a meeting point for merchants, scholars, administrators, and judges. Baghdad was not simply wealthy. It was organized. One of the Abbasids' most significant achievements was the formal organization of the Bayt al-Mal, the public treasury. Earlier Islamic governments collected wealth, but the Abbasids developed procedures. Revenue sources were recorded systematically: land taxes, zakat, trade duties, and state assets. Expenditures were documented. Official salaries, infrastructure maintenance, public services, and administrative costs. Financial management became institutional rather than personal. This reduced corruption and ensured continuity even when rulers changed. Economic stability was treated as a responsibility of governance. Under the Abbasids, trade disputes were resolved through courts, not power. Commercial law fell firmly under the authority of the Qadi. Merchants brought cases involving breached contracts, unpaid obligations, damaged goods, and partnership disagreements. Judgments were based on Islamic legal principles, applied through consistent procedures. This legal predictability mattered. Traders entered agreements knowing disputes would be resolved through law, not influence. Economic confidence grew not from force, but from enforceable rules. One visible shift during the Abbasid period was the normalization of written documentation. Contracts were no longer exceptional. They were routine. Scribes recorded agreements. Terms were specified clearly. Copies were preserved. This reduced ambiguity and prevented disputes before they began. Economic life became less dependent on memory and more dependent on record. Trust was supported by documentation, not replaced by it. Moving wealth across the Abbasid Empire posed risks. Transporting gold across deserts and seas invited theft, loss, and delay. The Abbasids supported financial tools that solved this problem without violating Islamic principles. The Suftaja allowed merchants to transfer value across regions without carrying currency. The Hawala system allowed trusted agents to settle balances through networks of obligation rather than physical exchange. These tools reduced risk, increased efficiency, and accelerated trade. They were practical solutions to real problems. Earlier episodes showed ethical behavior in markets. Under the Abbasids, this behavior was institutionalized. The Hisba system became formal state policy. Market inspectors were appointed to verify weights, prevent deception, and discourage artificial scarcity. They did not control prices. They did not dictate trade. They ensured transparency. This balance preserved market flexibility while protecting the public. Ethics functioned as law and order, not moral persuasion alone. The Abbasids understood that economic systems depend on knowledge. Institutions like the House of Wisdom were not isolated from governance. Mathematics improved accounting. Geography improved trade routes. Astronomy improved navigation. Knowledge directly supported administration, taxation, and commerce. Economic development was inseparable from learning. By the 9th century, Abbasid trade networks linked Africa, Europe, and Asia. Goods flowed through Baghdad. Textiles, spices, metals, manuscripts, and agricultural products. This prosperity was not accidental. It emerged from law, administration, and institutional design. Markets functioned because systems supported them. The Abbasid system was not immune to decline. Political fragmentation, regional autonomy, and external invasions weakened central authority. Yet many institutions continued locally. Courts functioned, contracts were enforced, markets operated. The system proved resilient beyond political strength. The Abbasid era demonstrates a critical truth. Islamic economic principles were not confined to small communities. They were applied at scale. Through law, bureaucracy, and policy, ethical foundations became functioning systems. This was deliberate design. If you value history that explains how economies actually worked, consider liking this video and subscribing to History Showcase. The Abbasid experience shows that economic systems are choices. They reflect decisions about justice, accountability, and structure. History does not offer blueprints. It offers evidence. And in the Abbasid world, principles did not disappear under pressure. They became institutions. History does not end. It waits to be understood.